Well, happy Monday morning. I know we're all trying to stay safe, obviously, but we need to get outside and enjoy the fresh air. And I think that's why birding is becoming really popular right now for a lot of newbies. So we thought we'd get a birding expert, and we couldn't find one, so then we found Jackson.
Next best, right?
Jackson from the Hamilton Naturalists Club and the RBG. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me. Welcome to winter birding.
Yeah. Okay, so where is birding at? Are you finding it's just taken off? Like tons of new people interested in it?
Yes. I mean, it's always been popular for decades, for centuries. I mean, like, it's been something that's going on for a very long time, but especially during the pandemic, it is becoming more and more popular because people are spending more time outside. Oh, and there's an eagle right there, Tim.
Really? Okay, so I don't know, we're putting a lot on Luke to be finding that, but how do you know that's an eagle?
So it just by its size. And look, at all the birds are scared. All the gulls are lifting up, things are flying around. So people are spending more time outside, and they're starting to just not walk by a spot like this and think, hey, there's some ducks, there's some swans. They're saying, what kind of ducks are they? What kind of swans do we have here? And they're asking those questions. They want to learn, and we want to help facilitate that.
Why is water? Why is this a good spot to be birding?
Well, one thing that we talk about a lot when it comes to looking for birds is habitat, right? We're in a spot with wide open water, and behind us we've got, a forest line here, lots of shrubbery. So birds are after, and animals are after, where they can eat, drink, and sleep. And be safe among their peers, if you will. So if birders are coming to a spot, or if they want to look for birds, this is a great spot to do it. Open water.
What are these swans? All swans here?
Yeah, look at them eyeing us, eh?
Yeah, right. Why do they all have tags on?
These are trumpeter swans. These are a native swan to North America. A swan that a lot of people are used to is actually this swan right beside it with the more of the orange bill.
Right in the water there?
Yeah, that's a mute swan. This is not native to Ontario. This was introduced as Europeans settled here, and the native swan then were outcompeted for resources by swans like the mute swan here. So these trumpeter swans that we see here, they were almost extinct, and this is a very known, popular spot for them. They always come back here in the wintertime. So they're right at home, right here on the bay.
Where'd our eagle friend go? Where would he have gone? Is he looking for breakfast?
He or she is just out there, looking for breakfast. You know what? We're even getting near eagle mating season, so maybe it's looking for a mate.
Okay. We got our binoculars. We'll talk about some of the things, if you are new, talk about some of the things that you need. This is some more high-tech, nerdy stuff that Jackson brought along that we'll kind of show off too. And I think the key is just be safe, right? Have fun, right? Stay in your bubble, and happy birding, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Woodpecker. How are you? Welcome back to our birding expedition. We've kind of changed up our locale because we started down by the water, and now we're kind of in a forested area. Back with Jackson, our birding expert from the Hamilton Naturalists Club and the RBG.
Yep.
And we're on RBG property,
which is where we are, at the bottom of Cherry Hill Gate, down in the Hendry Valley.
Popular spot.
Very popular, not just for people, but for birds too. This is a very, not only popular, but important birding spot. This habitat is crucial for birds in all seasons.
Okay, so for somebody, let's say like me, a newbie, beginner, why is this time of the year a good time to kind of bird?
Well, there's lots of reasons. There's fewer species around, right? When we talk about birds migrating, there's hundreds of species that will leave this area and go down south, but a lot will remain, and we're seeing them and hearing them right now. So it's easier to kind of start to identify some of these species because there's so few of them, but then there's no leaves on the trees, and it's easier for us to see a bit farther, use our gear to see farther, and then with less leaves, and sometimes the winter can bring quieter days, so we're using our hearing to listen for the calls, the contact calls, even getting into mating calls. It's near owl mating season too, so we're hearing a lot of those at night.
So as an experienced birder, we're hearing tons of them chirping. Can you identify who's what?
Yeah. Yep, and that takes a lot of practice. I mean, like, the average musician can tell the difference between a bass, an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, a cello, just like we can tell the difference between sparrows, nuthatches, chickadees, woodpeckers, birds of prey, you name it. There are so many voices, there's so much to learn. It just takes a little bit of practice and a lot of patience to just focus on who's saying what.
This time of the year, what are you going to be finding in here?
Well, right now we're seeing lots of sparrows. In fact, a lot of these around here are introduced species of house sparrows, but we've got a black-capped chickadee here, red-breasted and white-breasted nuthatches. I heard a Carolina wren. We saw an American crow, American goldfinch. So once people get an understanding of like the foundation of winter birds, you become more comfortable with it. And then when migration occurs and the birds start returning en masse, hundreds and hundreds of species, then that could be a little bit overwhelming. Then the leaves are bursting out. The songs all change to everyone wants to mate. And it becomes a bit more difficult, but that also becomes way more fun, especially the more you're into it.
Sometimes you just need to listen.
That's it.
Okay.
Half the time I'm just whispering or walking slowly and listening.
Okay, let's take a break. If you are, be safe when you're coming out, staying in your bubble, but enjoying the sights and the sounds. And we'll continue to do that on Morning Live. So we've changed up our location once again. And we're relying on Jackson and some of the nerdy technology that he has.
Yeah, isn't this sweet?
What is this setup?
So, you know, like whenever I go out with groups, we want to ensure that, you know, sure, we can bird with just our ears and eyes, but it's always helpful to have some gear. So luckily, through Royal Botanical Gardens, I've got a scope here, it's a spotting scope, and then these binoculars, so which has been great. But then I got this contraption that attaches to the spotting scope so that I can take pictures or take video of what's out there. And that's actually a great black-backed gull. The biggest gull in North America is sitting out there right now, which is why we don't call them seagulls.
That really annoys you.
It doesn't annoy me. It is a good educational moment though, where like if I'm out with birders, they're like, oh, there's only seagulls out there. It's like there's probably 6 species sitting out on the ice right now, and we can try and identify them. Part of that challenge, part of that fun, part of that drive to just keep learning more.
So what are you seeing out here? Like, what can you see out here?
Well,
what
I mean,
will you see out here?
Again, in the wintertime, the species numbers are much lower, but the abundance is high. So we get a lot of gulls. We got swans out there right now. But then when we get like mallards and canvasbacks, mergansers, buffleheads, all these types of birds love the water, love the ice, and here we get a mix. So we do have open waters. This is Coote's Paradise Marsh, the western tip of Lake Ontario. So we do have some open water, so birds can be looking for food, swimming, but also they're protected by being in such an open area. When an eagle flies in, when a peregrine flies in, they can see it and they warn each other and they can all lift up and fly away. So it's a good spot to be.
So if you keep an eye on, let's say, those gulls sitting out there on the ice, and if they are getting up and moving, that goes to show that there is some sort of predator in the area?
Totally. Birds are communicating all the time. So when we're in the forest, there was a time where we heard all the birds chirp really quickly, fly away, and they got quiet. And that's how I kind of knew, oh, a predator's probably nearby. Those gulls would do the same. They would all get up and fly. Think about a school of fish and a shark hunting it. Right. It's harder for a predator to find one prey. So if they all get up and fly, it confuses the predator, and then it tips us off that there's something around that we could perhaps identify.
Okay. The goal of today in our birding is not for you to flock to the areas that we've been going to. We were in 3 different spots, trying to pick different spots, because in your area, pick different spots that you can. And the time you would need to invest, an hour?
I mean, whatever you've got. I think the thing is exploring your local areas, right? Getting to know what's in your yard, what's in your parks, what's in your neighborhoods, because who knows what's out there until you look for it.
You said yard. Let's go to your yard.
Let's go to the yard.
Let's finish that off. Come back with birding enthusiast, Jackson. So our final stop on our birding expedition takes us to Jackson's backyard.
Yes, welcome.
Because is this where, we were discussing this. Does it start in the backyard or does it end in the backyard?
Great question. It could be either or. Some people have had feeders set up and they bring birds, they attract birds to it, and they start to realize the diversity in species and think, wow, if that's here, I want to learn more. Or it's, I've gone on hikes, I've gone on walks, I watched CH Morning Live, I've looked at Beaks and Geeks on Instagram, and I've been learning about different birds. I want to bring them to my yard. How do I do that? So either or.
Okay. We started on this steeple right there.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're coming out here all the time. What is on that steeple? There's
Well,
nothing there right now.
Yeah, no, and I'm watching, but you know, when we talk about habitat, you know, we're at the open water, we're in a forest, you know, we're on a peninsula. Even in an urban core, we got lots of trees here, but that steeple is a perfect spot for raptors. I've seen merlin, Cooper's hawk, red-tailed hawk. I'm waiting for a peregrine falcon one day to sit up there. That is a perfect hunting perch, and they just sit and they wait. And they actually will go and they'll go to feeders. So people get sometimes upset that like, oh, I'm feeding the cardinals and the sparrows and things, but then this raptor came in, this bird came in and it ate my birds. But that's kind of part of the cycle, right? It's all part of the food chain.
What's the etiquette coming in your backyard using your binoculars looking around?
I think as long as, you know, you're not looking directly into somebody's house.
Or give them a warning of maybe what you're doing.
Exactly. I wanted to have like an I'm birding shirt so people know.
So you have a couple bird feeders, right? Set
Yeah.
up. Like it doesn't really matter as far as if anybody's starting out, right?
No, I mean, feeders are cool. There's different kinds, so this would be great for suet. You can pack that full of something that's nice, fatty, and berries and nuts. This could be good for peanuts. There's feeders that are great so that squirrels don't get on it, which is why this baffle is here. Also a good example of why you need to clean your feeders, okay? So if you have feeders at home, it's one thing to set it up, but you gotta make sure you're cleaning it because birds can pass diseases through their fecal matter.
So when it gets emptied out, take it out, clean it out, and fill it back up
It's
again.
suggested to clean it very regularly because, yeah, like we're doing this for the birds, so you gotta keep them healthy.
Your book game is strong?
Yeah.
Suggesting any titles? Or what?
You know, a field guide is always great. So I get the Peterson Field Guide to Eastern and Central North America. And like, I'm telling you, hundreds and hundreds of species can be seen in the Hamilton, Burlington, Niagara area. But sometimes you want to like keep a journal so you can get some notebooks where you're putting your notes into. We've got some legendary birders in the world that live in Hamilton. Bob Curry is one of them. That book is like the birding Bible, and it tells you stories from generations
and
ago.
local stuff.
Yeah, all local.
Lastly about binoculars. Like here's a couple different styles.
Yes.
We've been using these today. Like how much do you need to be spending on a binocular?
Well, like a brand new pair that's a straight barrel might get you over $200.
Right.
But sometimes, you know, like this was handed down to me from my grandfather, from my Uncle Doug, and now I have these. And some people, you'll probably have these kicking around your cottage or your house. Any binoculars are a great start, and it's up to you to like, you know, once you expand your birding horizon, so to speak, you can decide what you want to buy, where you want to buy it from, how you want to support. All of these things, I bought my binoculars and all of this gear at Wild Birds Unlimited in Burlington. They'll hook you up. If you want to start somewhere, that is a great first step to go.
We didn't get to stuff. There's more stuff. Let's regroup maybe spring, even into the summer, and we can kind of do this again because it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep. And
so,
go ahead.
Yeah.
If you want to follow me more, so I mentioned
yeah.
Beaks and Geeks is an Instagram account I just created at the start of this week. So if you look for Beaks and Geeks, that'll be me, and I want to use that as a platform to just kind of keep birding casual for the average person.
Cool.
Yeah. Nothing there?
Back to the steeple. Now we wait.